The jungle was hot and wet. Minji wiped sweat from her forehead as she walked through the thick plants. She had been on this planet for 3 months now. The planet was called Vakros 4. It was far from Earth, but humans had started building a colony here. Minji was a biologist. Her job was to study the animals and plants on this new world. She carried a datapad in one hand and a scanner in the other. Every day she went into the jungle to learn more about the creatures that lived there. The trees on Vakros 4 were strange. They had purple leaves and silver bark. Some of them grew as tall as buildings back on Earth. Vines hung down like thick ropes. Strange birds with 6 wings flew overhead. They made sounds like bells ringing. Minji loved her work. She had always wanted to explore alien worlds. As a child, she had read books about space and dreamed of traveling to the stars. Now her dream was real. She stopped near a small stream. The water was clear and blue. She knelt down to take a sample. Her scanner beeped as it analyzed the water. Good. No dangerous chemicals. She made a note on her datapad. Something moved in the bushes behind her. Minji turned her head slowly. She had learned to be careful on this planet. There were many predators here. Some of them were very dangerous. The bushes were still now. Maybe it was just the wind. Minji went back to her work. Then she felt it. Tiny claws dug into the fabric of her thermal suit. Something was climbing up her back. Minji froze. Her heart began to beat faster. Very slowly, very carefully, she turned her head to look over her shoulder. A small creature clung to her back. It had 4 legs and a long tail. Its body was covered in dark scales that shimmered with blue and green colors. 2 large eyes stared at her. The eyes were golden like coins. Minji recognized what it was immediately. It was a Rathan cub. Her breath caught in her throat. The Rathan were the most dangerous predators on Vakros 4. Adult Rathan stood 12 feet tall. They had claws as long as knives. Their teeth could crush metal. They hunted in packs and had already killed 3 colonists. But this was just a baby. It was no bigger than a cat. Its claws were sharp, but they were tiny. The cub made a soft chirping sound. It pressed itself against Minji's back. Minji's mind raced. Where were the parents? Rathan protected their young fiercely. If the mother was nearby, Minji would be dead in seconds. She stood very still and listened. The jungle was quiet except for the sound of the stream and the distant calls of the 6-winged birds. No heavy footsteps. No growling. No sign of adult Rathan. The cub chirped again. It sounded scared. Its little body was shaking. Slowly, very slowly, Minji reached back with one hand. The cub pressed against her palm. Its scales were warm and smooth. It made a different sound now, almost like purring. Minji carefully lifted the cub and brought it around to look at it properly. It was so small. Its bioluminescent markings were just beginning to show. Little patches on its scales glowed faintly with soft blue light. The cub looked up at her with those big golden eyes. It opened its mouth and showed tiny teeth. Then it chirped again, louder this time. "Where is your family?" Minji whispered. The cub just stared at her. It tried to climb back onto her shoulder. Its little claws gripped her suit. Minji knew she should leave it here. That was the protocol. Don't interfere with native wildlife. Don't touch alien creatures. It was a basic rule, but the cub was all alone. If she left it here, it would die. A baby Rathan couldn't survive on its own. There were other predators in this jungle, and without its mother, it couldn't eat. The cub nuzzled against her neck. It made that purring sound again. Minji made a decision. She would take it back to the research station, just for now, just to make sure it was healthy. Then they could figure out what to do with it. She carefully tucked the cub inside the front of her suit. It settled against her chest, warm and small. Its purring got louder. "Okay, little one," Minji said softly. "Let's go home." The walk back to the station took an hour. The cub stayed quiet inside her suit. Sometimes it poked its head out to look around. Its little nose twitched as it smelled the air. Minji thought about what to call it. She couldn't keep calling it the cub. She needed a name. "Bomb," she said finally. It meant spring in Korean. It seemed right. This little creature was like a new beginning. Bomb chirped happily as if he understood. The research station appeared through the trees. It was a cluster of white buildings surrounded by a fence. Guards stood at the gate with weapons. They were there to protect the scientists from dangerous wildlife. Minji walked up to the gate. One of the guards, a man named Junho, raised his hand in greeting. "Find anything interesting today?" he asked. Minji smiled nervously. You could say that. Before Junho could ask more questions, Bomb poked his head out of her suit. His golden eyes blinked in the sunlight. Junho's face went pale. He stepped back and raised his weapon. That's a Rathan, he shouted. Other guards came running. They all pointed their weapons at Minji. Wait, Minji held up her hands. Wait, it's just a baby. Look at him. He's harmless. Harmless? Junho's voice was shaking. Those things killed Minho last month. They tore him apart. This is a cub, Minji said firmly. He was alone in the jungle. His family abandoned him. If I left him there, he would have died. It should die, another guard said, before it grows up and kills us. No. Minji's voice was hard now. She held Bomb protectively. I'm taking him to the lab. I'm going to study him. We don't know enough about the Rathan. This is a chance to learn. The guards looked at each other. Finally, Junho lowered his weapon. This is a bad idea, he said. The director is going to be angry. Let me worry about that, Minji said. She walked through the gate. The guards watched her go, their faces full of fear and doubt. Minji carried Bomb to her lab. It was a small building at the edge of the station. Inside there were computers, scanners, and cages for small animals. She set Bomb down on an examination table. He looked around with curiosity. His tail swished back and forth. Let's see how healthy you are, Minji said. She ran the scanner over Bomb's body. The data appeared on her computer screen. He was thin, probably hadn't eaten in days, but otherwise he seemed healthy. Bomb chirped and tried to climb back onto her. Minji laughed and picked him up. Hungry? She asked. She went to her food storage unit. She had samples of local animals that she had been studying. She wasn't sure what Rathan cubs ate, but she would try. She offered Bomb a piece of meat from a rabbit-like creature. Bomb sniffed it, then ate it eagerly. His tiny teeth tore through the meat quickly. Good boy, Minji said, smiling. There was a loud knock on the door. Before Minji could answer, it opened. A tall man walked in. His name was Doyun. He was the senior researcher at the station. Doyun stared at Bomb. His eyes went wide. Minji, he said slowly. Please tell me that is not what I think it is. Minji took a deep breath. His name is Bomb. I found him in the jungle. He was all alone. Doyun closed his eyes and rubbed his temples. This is the most foolish thing I have ever seen. Do you understand what you've done? That creature will grow up to be a killing machine. It will tear you apart. It will tear all of us apart. Or, Minji said quietly, we could learn from him. We could understand the Rathan better. Maybe even find a way to coexist with them. Doyun shook his head. You're naive. The Rathan are monsters. There's no reasoning with them. Bomb looked at Doyun and chirped softly. Then he climbed up Minji's arm and settled on her shoulder. He trusts me, Minji said. That has to mean something. Doyun stared at her for a long moment. Finally he sighed. Fine. But if that thing hurts anyone, it's on you. And I'm reporting this to the director. He turned and left, slamming the door behind him. Minji looked at Bomb. The little cub looked back at her with those golden eyes. It's just you and me now, she whispered. Bomb purred and nuzzled against her cheek. Outside, the sun was setting. The sky turned purple and orange. In the distance, strange howls echoed through the jungle. It was the sound of adult Rathan calling to each other. Minji wondered if they were looking for Bomb. She wondered if she had made a terrible mistake. But when she looked at the tiny creature on her shoulder, she knew she couldn't have left him to die. Whatever happened next, they would face it together. 3 weeks had passed since Minji brought Bomb to the research station. The little Rathan cub had grown. He was now the size of a medium dog. His scales had become brighter. The blue and green colors shimmered when he moved. His bioluminescent markings glowed stronger at night. Every morning, Minji woke to find Bomb curled up on the foot of her bed. He had become her constant companion. He followed her everywhere. When she worked at her computer, he sat beside her. When she ate, he begged for scraps like a puppy. When she was sad or tired, he pressed his warm body against her and purred. But not everyone at the station was happy about Bomb. Most of the colonists were afraid of him. They crossed to the other side of the path when they saw Minji walking with Bomb. Some of them complained to the director. They said it was too dangerous to have a Rathan living among them. Minji tried to show them that Bomb was gentle, but they wouldn't listen. They only saw a predator that would one day grow big enough to kill them. Director Taewon had called her to his office twice already. Both times he had ordered her to get rid of Bomb. Both times Minji had refused. She argued that Bomb was important for research. She said they could learn things about the Rathan that might save lives. Taewon hadn't pushed the issue yet. But Minji knew his patience was running out. This morning, Minji was in her lab running tests. Bomb was playing with a ball she had made for him. He batted it back and forth with his paws. His tail swished happily. Minji was studying the sounds Bomb made. She had recorded hundreds of his chirps, growls, and purrs. She was beginning to notice patterns. Different sounds seemed to mean different things. When Bomb was hungry, he made one type of chirp. When he was scared, he made another. When he wanted to play, there was a third sound. "You're trying to talk, aren't you?" Minji said softly. Bomb looked at her and chirped. His bioluminescent markings flickered with light. Minji's eyes widened. She had seen that flicker before, always when Bomb was communicating. She grabbed her scanner and pointed it at Bomb. "Do that again," she said. Bomb tilted his head, confused. Minji made a chirping sound, trying to copy him. Bomb's eyes brightened. He chirped back. His markings flickered again in a pattern. Minji's hands shook as she recorded the data. The bioluminescent markings weren't just for show. They were part of how Rathan communicated, light and sound together. "A complex language, oh my God," she whispered. "You're intelligent. Really intelligent." Bomb chirped again, as if agreeing with her. The door to the lab opened. A man walked in. His name was Hyunwoo. He was the station's field doctor. He was one of the few people who wasn't afraid of Bomb. "How's our friend today?" Hyunwoo asked, smiling. Bomb ran to him and rubbed against his legs. Hyunwoo bent down and scratched behind Bomb's ears. The Rathan cub purred loudly. "I think I just discovered something amazing," Minji said. She showed Hyunwoo the data on her computer. "Look at this. The light patterns match specific sounds. I think the Rathan have a language. A real complex language." Hyunwoo studied the screen. He was quiet for a moment. Then he nodded slowly. "This changes everything," he said. "If the Rathan can communicate, if they're intelligent, then we can't treat them like animals." "Exactly," Minji said. "We could talk to them, negotiate with them, maybe even make peace." "Good luck convincing Taewon of that," Hyunwoo said. "He wants all the Rathan dead. He thinks the only good predator is a dead predator." Minji frowned. She knew Hyunwoo was right. The director was afraid, and fear made people do stupid things. "I need more data," she said. "I need to prove this beyond any doubt." For the next week, Minji worked day and night. She taught Bomb simple commands using both words and hand signals. Sit, stay, come. Bomb learned quickly. Too quickly. He understood after just one or two tries. Then Minji tried something harder. She showed Bomb pictures on her datapad. A picture of food. A picture of water. A picture of herself. Each time she made a specific sound and a specific light pattern with a flashlight. Bomb watched carefully. Then he tried to copy her. His own bioluminescent markings flickered in similar patterns. When Minji showed him the picture of food, he made the same light pattern she had shown him. "You're learning my language," Minji said, amazed. "And I'm learning yours," Bomb chirped happily. He seemed proud of himself. By the end of the week, Bomb could understand over 20 different words. He could ask for food, water, and play. He could tell Minji when he was tired or when he wanted to go outside. Minji documented everything. She had hours of video, pages of data, proof that the Rathan were not mindless beasts. She decided it was time to share her findings with the others. She called a meeting in the main conference room. Most of the scientists came. Doyen was there, his arms crossed and his face skeptical. Hyunwoo sat in the front row, supportive as always. Director Taewon sat in the back watching with cold eyes. Minji stood at the front of the room with her datapad. Bomb sat beside her, calm and well-behaved. "Thank you all for coming," Minji began. "I know many of you are scared of Bomb. I understand that. The Rathan are dangerous. They have killed our people. But I've learned something important over the past few weeks. The Rathan are not just animals. They're intelligent. They have language. They can learn and reason." She showed them her videos. Bomb following commands. Bomb communicating with light patterns. Bomb solving simple puzzles that Minji had created for him. Some of the scientists leaned forward with interest. Others looked doubtful. "This is incredible," said Salman, a linguist who had just arrived at the colony last month. If this is true, we need to completely rethink our approach to the Rathan. It's just one animal, Doyen said sharply. You raised it from a cub. You've trained it. That doesn't mean the wild Rathan are intelligent. It certainly doesn't mean they're peaceful. But it's a start, Minji argued. If Bomb can learn, then other Rathan can too. We could teach them to understand us. We could find a way to live together without violence. Naive, Doyen said. The Rathan attacked our mining operation last month. They killed 2 workers. You can't negotiate with killers. Maybe they attacked because we invaded their territory, Hyunwoo said. Maybe they were defending their home. They're animals, Taewon said from the back of the room. His voice was hard and final. Dangerous animals. And this experiment has gone on long enough. Minji, I want that creature removed from this station by the end of the week. No, Minji said firmly. I won't do that. The room went silent. Everyone stared at her. No one said no to the director. Taewon stood up. His face was red with anger. That is an order, Doctor. You will obey or you will be sent back to Earth. Then send me back, Minji said. But I won't abandon Bomb. He trusts me.
He depends on me.
I won't betray him. Bomb seemed to sense the tension in the room. He pressed against Minji's leg. His markings flickered with anxious light. Taewon walked toward the front of the room. He stared down at Bomb with disgust. That thing is a monster, he said. One day it will grow big enough to kill you. And when it does, I'll have it shot, Bomb growled. It was a low warning sound. His lips pulled back to show his teeth. They were much bigger now than they had been 3 weeks ago. Bomb, no, Minji said quickly. She put her hand on his head. It's okay. Calm down. Bomb stopped growling. But he didn't take his eyes off Taewon. See? Taewon said. It's already showing its true nature. Get it out of here now. He turned and left the room. Several other colonists followed him. Soon only Hyunwoo, Somin, and a few others remained. What are you going to do? Hyunwoo asked quietly. Minji looked down at Bomb. The Rathan cub looked back at her with those golden eyes. He trusted her completely. I don't know, she said honestly, but I won't give him up. I can't. That night, Minji couldn't sleep. She lay in her bed, staring at the ceiling. Bomb was curled up beside her, breathing softly. She had made an enemy of the director. That was dangerous. Taewon had the power to send her back to Earth. He could have Bomb killed. She had to find a way to change his mind. But how? Her datapad beeped. She picked it up. There was a message from Somin. I believe you. Meet me tomorrow. I want to help. Minji smiled in the darkness. At least she wasn't alone. The next morning, Minji met Somin in the linguistics lab. Somin was a small woman with sharp eyes and quick hands. She was an expert in alien languages. Show me everything, Somin said. Minji shared all her data, the recordings of Bomb's sounds, the patterns of his bioluminescent markings, the videos of him learning commands. Somin studied it all carefully. She played the recordings over and over. She analyzed the light patterns on her computer. Hours passed. Finally, Somin looked up. This is real, she said. This is a true language. It's complex, probably as complex as human language. Maybe more so because it combines sound and light. Can you help me decode it? Minji asked. I can try, Somin said. But we need more data. We need to record wild Rathan. We need to see how they communicate with each other. That's dangerous, Minji said. The wild Rathan won't let us get close. What if Bomb could help? Somin suggested. What if he could translate for us? Minji thought about it. It was risky, but it might be their only chance. That evening, Minji took Bomb outside the fence. It was the first time he had been back in the jungle since she found him. Bomb seemed nervous at first. He stayed close to Minji's side. But then his nose caught a scent. His ears perked up. He made a soft chirping sound. In the distance, something answered. A deeper sound. An adult Rathan.Bomb's bioluminescent markings began to glow brighter. The alarm started at dawn. The sound was loud and terrible. It echoed across the entire colony. Minji jerked awake in her bed. Bomb jumped to his feet, growling. What's happening? Minji said. She grabbed her datapad. Red emergency messages flashed on the screen. Breach Rathan attack, all personnel to safe zones. Her blood went cold. She pulled on her clothes as fast as she could. Bomb paced back and forth, anxious and confused. His markings flickered wildly. Stay close to me, Minji told him. She opened the door of her quarters. Outside, people were running. Some were screaming. Guards fired their weapons toward the north fence. Minji could hear terrible sounds, roaring, the crunch of metal being torn apart, growls that made her bones shake. She ran toward the main building where the safe zones were located. Bomb ran beside her, his claws clicking on the pavement. Around them, the colony was in chaos. A woman fell in front of Minji. She had been hit by debris from a collapsed building. Minji stopped to help her. Hyunwoo appeared from nowhere and grabbed the woman. "Get to safety," he shouted at Minji. "I've got her!" Minji kept running. Behind her, she heard an explosion. She looked back. The north fence was completely destroyed. Through the smoke and fire, she saw them. Rathan, dozens of them. Maybe more. They were huge, much bigger than she had imagined. They moved like shadows, fast and deadly. Their bioluminescent markings blazed with angry red light. Guards fired at them, but the bullets seemed to do nothing. The Rathan scattered, avoiding the shots. They weren't attacking randomly. They were working together, coordinating. 3 Rathan ran toward the power station. Another group headed for the communications tower. A third group moved toward the main residences where families lived. "They're targeting our infrastructure," Minji realized. This wasn't a mindless attack. This was strategy. This was war. She reached the main building and ran inside. People crowded in the hallways. Some were crying. Others were silent with shock. Children clung to their parents. The emergency lights cast everything in red. Minji found a corner and pressed herself against the wall. Bomb pushed against her legs, whimpering. He was scared. So was she. "Why are they attacking?" A woman near her sobbed. "We haven't done anything to them." But that wasn't true, Minji thought. The mining operation. 2 weeks ago, the miners had expanded into the northern territories. They had cleared a large section of jungle. They had blasted through rock. They had taken what they wanted without asking. Maybe this was revenge. The building shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. Someone screamed. The lights flickered and went out. Emergency backup lights came on dimmer than before. "They've hit the power station," someone said. Minji pulled out her data pad. The screen was cracked but still working. She pulled up the security feeds. Most of the cameras were down, but a few still worked. She watched in horror as the Rathan tore through the colony. They were incredibly strong. One of them ripped the door off a vehicle like it was paper. Another climbed up the side of a building and destroyed the solar panels on the roof. But they weren't killing people. That was strange. The Rathan had many chances to attack colonists, but they mostly ignored them. They focused on destroying equipment and buildings. They were sending a message. "Leave, go away." "This is our world." Minji's hands shook. She felt sick. This was because of the mining operation. Because humans had pushed too far into Rathan territory. Bomb suddenly went rigid. His ears stood straight up. He stared at the door of the room they were in. A low growl came from his throat. "What is it?" Minji whispered. Then she heard it. Heavy footsteps in the hallway. Getting closer. Something big was coming. People began to panic. They pushed toward the back of the room. Some tried to barricade the door. But it was too late. The door exploded inward. Metal bent and tore. A massive Rathan stepped through. It had to duck its head to fit. Its scales were dark gray with markings that glowed deep crimson. Its eyes swept across the room, looking at all the humans huddled there. This was it. They were all going to die. But Bomb did something Minji never expected. He jumped in front of her. The little Rathan stood between Minji and the massive adult. Bomb was tiny compared to the adult. He would be crushed in seconds, but he didn't back down. He growled. His own markings flared with bright blue light. He chirped and clicked, his light patterns flashing rapidly. The adult Rathan stopped. It looked down at Bomb. For a moment, nothing happened. The room was silent except for people breathing hard with fear. Then the adult's markings changed. The angry red faded. Different colors appeared, blue, green, purple. Its markings began to pulse in a pattern. Slow, deliberate. Bomb responded. His markings pulsed back. The two of them were communicating. Minji watched, barely able to breathe. What were they saying? Was Bomb trying to protect her? Was he telling the adult not to hurt the humans? The adult Rathan leaned down. Its huge head came close to Bomb. It sniffed the little cub. Then it sniffed Minji. Its breath was hot and smelled like meat. Minji closed her eyes. She waited for death. Instead, she felt something warm and rough on her arm. She opened her eyes. The adult Rathan was smelling her carefully, its nose pressed against her sleeve where Bomb's scent would be strongest. The adult pulled back. It looked at Minji for a long moment with eyes that glowed like molten gold. There was intelligence in those eyes. Not animal instinct, real thought, real understanding. Then the adult Rathan did something impossible. It lowered its massive head, not in threat, in what looked like a bow, a gesture of respect. Its markings flashed once, twice, 3 times, the same pattern Bomb used when he was being friendly. Then the adult turned and walked back out through the broken door. It didn't hurt anyone. It just left. For a moment, no one moved. Then someone started crying with relief. Others began to talk all at once. What just happened? A man said. Why didn't it kill us? Minji looked down at Bomb. The little Rathan looked back at her. His markings pulsed gently. Blue and green. Calm colors, you saved us, Minji whispered. You talked to it. You told it not to hurt us, Bomb chirped softly. He rubbed his head against her hand. Outside, a loud roar echoed across the colony. It was deep and powerful. It sounded like a command. The sounds of destruction stopped. The building stopped shaking. Minji looked at her datapad. The few security cameras that still worked showed the Rathan retreating. All of them. They were leaving the colony. Going back into the jungle, the attack was over. People began to emerge from the safe zones carefully. The damage was terrible. Buildings were destroyed. Vehicles were wrecked. The fence was torn apart. Equipment was smashed. But the casualties were surprisingly light. Only 5 people had died, all from falling debris or accidents in the panic. No one had been directly killed by a Rathan. It seemed impossible. The Rathan could have slaughtered everyone, but they hadn't. Director Taewon emerged from his bunker. His face was pale and covered in sweat. He looked at the destruction around him. Then his eyes found Minji. And Bomb. This is your fault, he said, his voice shaking with rage. You brought that creature here. You made them angry. This attack happened because of you. No, Hyunwoo said, stepping between them. He had blood on his shirt from helping the injured. This happened because of the mining operation. Because we destroyed their breeding grounds. Minji tried to warn us that the Rathan were intelligent, that they would fight back if we pushed too far, but no one listened. I want that animal executed, Taewon said, pointing at Bomb. Now, today, guard seize it. 2 guards stepped forward reluctantly. They raised their weapons toward Bomb. No, Minji shouted. She put herself between Bomb and the guns. You can't. He just saved all those people in the main building. He stopped an adult Rathan from killing us. I don't care, Taewon said. It's still one of them. It needs to die. You're making a mistake, Samin said. She had appeared from somewhere, her face dirty and tired. Bomb is our only connection to the Rathan. He can communicate with them. He can translate. If you kill him, we'll never be able to make peace. Peace? Taewon laughed bitterly. There is no peace with monsters. They're not monsters, Minji said. They're defending their home. We invaded their territory. We destroyed their nesting grounds. What did you think would happen? We have just as much right to this planet as they do, Taewon said. Do we? Minji challenged. They were here first. We came to their world. We started cutting down their forests and digging up their land. How is that right? A crowd had gathered. Colonists listened to the argument. Some nodded in agreement with Taewon. Others looked uncertain. An older woman stepped forward. Her name was Yoonji. She was a teacher. Her daughter had been killed by a Rathan 3 months ago. My daughter is dead because of them, Yoonji said quietly. Everyone went silent. I hate the Rathan. I want them all to die, but... She paused. Tears ran down her face. But I saw what happened in the main building. I was there. That monster could have killed us all. My grandson was in that room. But the little one, Bomb, he stopped it. He protected us. If he hadn't been there, my grandson would be dead too. She looked at Taewon. Maybe Minji is right. Maybe we need to try talking to them instead of fighting. Other voices joined in. Not everyone agreed. There was shouting, arguments, but some people were starting to question. Dawn came cold and gray. Minji stood at the edge of the colony with Hyunwoo, Somin, and Bomb. They each carried a small pack with supplies, water, food, medical equipment. Somin had brought recording devices to document everything. Hyunwoo carried a weapon, though Minji hoped they wouldn't need it. Bomb paced back and forth. He was excited. His markings flickered rapidly. He kept looking toward the jungle, then back at Minji, then at the jungle again. He wants to go home, Minji said quietly. Is that what the jungle is to him? Selman asked. Home? I think so. He was born there. Even though he's been with me for weeks, he remembers. A group of colonists had gathered to watch them leave. Some looked hopeful. Others looked like they were attending a funeral. Yunji, the teacher, stepped forward. She handed Minji a small device. It's a beacon, she said. If you get into trouble, press this. We'll send help. Thank you, Minji said. Yunji squeezed her hand. Bring my grandson a better future. One where he doesn't have to be afraid, Minji nodded. She couldn't promise anything. But she would try. Director Taewon watched from the door of his office. His face was hard and cold. He didn't wave. He didn't wish them luck. He just watched. Let's go, Minji said. They walked through the broken fence and into the jungle. The moment they entered the trees, everything changed. The air was thicker. The sounds were different. Strange birds called overhead. Something rustled in the bushes. The purple leaves filtered the sunlight into strange colors. Bombs seemed to come alive. He ran ahead, then circled back. His nose twitched. He was following a scent. He knows where to go, Hyunwoo said. They walked for hours. The jungle was beautiful but dangerous. Venomous plants grew beside the path. Predators watched from the shadows. Once, a snake-like creature as thick as Minji's arm dropped from a tree. Bomb growled and it slithered away quickly. By midday, they reached a clearing. A stream ran through it, the water clear and cold. They stopped to rest and eat. How much farther? Selman asked. Bomb chirped and pointed with his nose toward the north. His markings pulsed 3 times. 3 hours, maybe? Minji guessed. She was getting better at understanding him. As they rested, Hyunwoo noticed something. Look at the trees, he said. Minji looked. The trees around the clearing had marks on them. Deep gouges in the bark. Made by claws, territory markers, Selman said. We're in Rathan land now. They continued walking. The jungle grew darker. The trees were older here, bigger. Their roots twisted above the ground like frozen snakes. Bomb moved more carefully now. He stayed close to Minji. Then they heard it. A low rumbling sound. It came from all around them. The ground seemed to vibrate with it. They know we're here, Hyunwoo whispered. Shapes moved in the shadows. Large shapes. The Rathan were surrounding them. Don't run, Minji said. Stay calm. Let Bomb handle this. Bomb stepped forward. He chirped loudly. His markings blazed with blue light. He made a series of sounds and light patterns. He was announcing their presence, explaining why they were here. From the trees, an adult Rathan emerged. Then another, and another. Soon at least 20 of them stood in a circle around the humans. They were all massive, all powerful. Any one of them could kill the 3 humans in seconds. The largest Rathan stepped forward. It was the same one that had come to the colony during the attack, the one that had bowed to Minji. Its markings were dark gray with crimson highlights. Its eyes glowed like fire. Bomb walked up to the adult without fear. The little cub looked tiny next to it. Bomb chirped and pulsed his lights. The adult lowered its head and sniffed Bomb carefully. Then it made a deep sound, almost like a purr. The adult turned its attention to Minji. It stared at her for a long moment. Then it did something surprising. It lay down on the ground. It made itself smaller, less threatening. The other Rathan did the same. All of them lay down, watching, waiting. They're showing they don't want to fight, Somin whispered. This is incredible. Minji took a deep breath. This was the moment. Everything depended on what happened next. She stepped forward slowly. Bomb stayed at her side. We come in peace, Minji said. She knew they probably didn't understand her words, but maybe her tone would help. We want to talk. To understand each other. She pulled out her data pad. She had prepared something. A series of images and sounds. Simple things. She showed them a picture of the colony. Then a picture of the jungle. Then a picture of humans and Rathan standing together, not fighting. The large Rathan watched the images carefully. Its markings flickered. Then it stood up. It moved to a flat rock nearby. With one claw, it began to draw in the dirt. Minji watched in amazement. The Rathan was drawing a map. It showed the jungle, the colony, and a line between them. The Rathan drew an X over part of the jungle, the northern part, where the mining operation had been. That's their breeding ground, Soman said. That's what the humans destroyed. The Rathan made a growling sound, sad and angry at the same time. It drew more. Small shapes that must be wraith and young. It drew them inside the marked area. Then it drew human vehicles and equipment. It crossed out the small shapes. "Oh no," Minji said quietly. "The mining operation killed their children. That's why the Rathan had attacked. Not out of mindless aggression, but grief, revenge, protection of their remaining young." Minji felt sick. She knelt down next to the drawing. "I'm sorry," she said. "We didn't know. We didn't understand. We should have asked. We should have looked." The Rathan watched her. Its eyes were intelligent. It understood emotions even if it didn't understand words. Minji pulled out her datapad again. She drew her own picture. She showed the humans moving their mining operation, away from the marked area, to a different part of the planet. Somewhere the Rathan didn't live. She showed humans and Rathan meeting, talking, sharing information. The large Rathan studied the images. Then it made a series of sounds and light patterns. Baum listened carefully. He chirped back. They went back and forth for several minutes. A conversation. Finally, Baum turned to Minji. He pushed his nose against her hand. Then he walked to the Rathan's drawing. He pointed to a different area, away from both the colony and the breeding grounds. He scratched his own marks in the dirt. "What is he saying?" Hyunwoo asked. Soman was recording everything. "I think he's proposing a solution. A place where humans and Rathan can meet safely. Neutral ground." The large Rathan considered this. Then it made a sound that was almost like a laugh. Its markings pulsed with warm yellow light. It nodded its massive head. Agreement. Minji felt tears in her eyes. "It's working. We're actually communicating." For the next several hours they continued to talk. It was slow, difficult, but piece by piece they began to understand each other. The Rathan were not animals. They had society, culture, they had families and laws. They protected their young fiercely. They honored their elders. They had religion and art expressed through their light patterns. They had seen the humans arrive from space. At first they had been curious. But then the humans started cutting down trees, digging up the earth, making loud noises, killing animals, taking resources. The Rathan had tried to warn the humans away. They had left territory markers. They had made threatening displays. But the humans didn't understand. They kept pushing further. When the mining operation destroyed the breeding grounds, several Rathan young had been buried alive. The pack elders decided humans were invaders who needed to be driven away. Hence the attack on the colony. But then they saw Baum with Minji. They smelled her scent on him. They saw that one human had protected a Rathan cub, had raised him, had kept him safe. That changed everything. It meant maybe humans weren't all bad. Maybe they could learn. Maybe they could share this world. Through Baum, Minji explained human perspective. Humans needed resources to survive. They hadn't known the Rathan were intelligent. They thought they were just animals. Dangerous predators. She explained that most humans wanted peace. They were scared because they didn't understand. But if the Rathan would give them a chance, they could learn to live together. The large Rathan listened. Then it made a decision. It would give the humans one chance. But there were conditions. First, the mining operation must move far away from Rathan territory, permanently. Second, humans must stay in certain areas. They cannot expand randomly. Third, there must be regular meetings between humans and Rathan to prevent misunderstandings. Fourth, if humans break these agreements, the Rathan will fight, and next time they will not show mercy. Minji agreed to all of it. "I'll tell my leaders. I'll make them understand." The large Rathan dipped its head. Then it did something beautiful. It raised one claw and gently touched Minji's hand. Its scales were warm and surprisingly smooth. Its markings pulsed with gentle blue light. Baum chirped happily. He rubbed against both Minji and the large Rathan. He seemed so proud, like a child bringing two family members together. "I think this is Baum's parent," Soman said quietly, "the alpha that let Minji take him. It's been watching over them the whole time." Minji looked at the large Rathan with new understanding. "You let me take him. You wanted me to raise him, so I would learn to care about your people." The alpha made a soft sound. Its eyes were warm. "You're smarter than any of us knew," Minji whispered. As the sun began to set, the Rathan shared food with them. They brought fresh meat from a recent hunt. They showed them which jungle plants were safe to eat. They even let the humans rest in their camp. That night, Minji lay under alien stars. Bomb slept curled against 6 months had passed since the first peace meeting. The colony on Vacros 4 looked different now. The fence was still there, but gates stood open during the day. Rathan walked through the colony streets freely. Children no longer ran away screaming. Instead, they waved and tried out their new Rathan language phrases. Minji stood in front of her lab, watching a young girl named Unji, named after her grandmother, feed treats to a Rathan cub. The cub was about the same age Bomb had been when Minji first found him. This one belonged to one of the pack elders. The Rathan had started bringing their young to the colony to learn alongside human children. Higher education, Hyunwoo joked, walking up beside her. Kindergarten for 2 species, Minji laughed. I never imagined this would work so well. You did, Hyunwoo said. That's why you tried. Bomb came running from around the corner. He was huge now, nearly as large as an adult Rathan. His scales had darkened to a deep blue-green. His bioluminescent markings were strong and bright. He could make complex patterns that told entire stories, but he still acted like Minji's puppy. He bounded up to her and pushed his massive head against her chest. She scratched behind his ears the way he liked. Going to the meeting? Hyunwoo asked. In an hour, Minji said. Want to come? Wouldn't miss it. The weekly meetings had become a regular part of colony life. Humans and Rathan gathered to discuss problems, share information, and make plans together. Today's meeting was special. They were going to discuss expanding the partnership even further. Minji and Hyunwoo walked to the meeting hall. It was a large open structure built at the edge of the colony. Half of it was designed for humans with chairs and tables. The other half had platforms and spaces sized for Rathan. The Alpha Rathan was already there. Minji had learned its name, though it was hard for humans to pronounce. The closest translation was Starwalker. The Alpha had explained that Rathan named themselves after important moments in their lives. Starwalker had been named because it was born during a meteor shower. Bomb's Rathan name Minji had learned meant bridge between worlds. The pack elders had given him that name after he helped make peace. Minji thought it was perfect. Welcome, guardian friend, Starwalker said through the translation device. The machine wasn't perfect, but it was getting better. Soman and a Rathan elder who understood technology had been improving it together. Welcome, Starwalker, Minji replied. She made the light pattern for respect with her own bioluminescent wristband. Humans had started wearing them to communicate more easily. Other humans and Rathan filed in. Director Taewon was there. Though he still looked uncomfortable around the Rathan, he had accepted the peace, but he didn't like it. Jiho sat next to him, calm and professional. Soman came in with 3 Rathan elders, all of them deep in conversation about language structure. When everyone was seated, Jiho called the meeting to order. First item, she said. The northern mining operation has found a new site. It's rich in the minerals we need, and it's far from any Rathan territory. We're asking for permission to begin operations. A Rathan elder named Moon Whisper stood. We have examined the proposed site. It is acceptable. But we request that your machines do not work during the breeding season. The noise disturbs the animals we hunt. That's reasonable, said the mining supervisor, a man named Jiho. We can schedule around that. Agreed, Moon Whisper said, her markings flashing with pleased yellow light. Next item, Jiho continued. Dr. Hyunwoo has a proposal. Hyunwoo stood up. He looked nervous. Thank you. As you all know, 3 weeks ago several colonists got sick with a fever. We tried our medicines, but nothing worked. The fever kept getting worse. We thought we might lose them. He nodded to a Rathan healer named Dewclaw. Dewclaw brought us a fungus that grows deep in the jungle. She showed us how to prepare it. We gave it to the sick colonists, and they recovered within 2 days. Murmurs spread through the human side of the room. Many hadn't known that Rathan medicine had saved their people. The fungus has natural antibiotic properties stronger than anything we've seen, Hyunwoo continued. With permission, I'd like to study it. Maybe we can cultivate it here near the colony. It could save many lives, Dewclaw stood. She was an older Rathan with silver scales. The fungus is sacred to us. It grows in the deep caves where our ancestors are buried. We cannot let it be taken carelessly. I understand, Hyunwoo said. I'm not asking to take it from the caves. I'm asking if you could teach us to grow it. We would cultivate it respectfully, and we would share it with you. Your people could use it too. Duclaw considered this. She turned to Starwalker. The two of them made light patterns back and forth. A conversation the translation device couldn't quite catch. Finally, Duclaw turned back. Yes, I will teach you. But you must come to the caves first. You must see where it grows. You must understand why it is sacred. Then we will help you grow it. Thank you, Hyunwoo said, bowing. I promise to treat it with the respect it deserves. The meeting continued. They discussed water sharing. The Rathan knew where the best streams were, and they agreed to show humans new water sources. In return, humans would help the Rathan repair some of their structures damaged by storms. They talked about hunting. The Rathan were concerned that human noise was driving away the large prey animals. The humans agreed to establish quiet zones during hunting season. They discussed education. Young Rathan wanted to learn about human technology. Young humans wanted to learn about Rathan tracking and survival skills. They agreed to set up an exchange program. As the meeting was ending, Starwalker stood. I have something to share, the Alpha said. Good news. New life. The Rathan in the room made excited chirping sounds. Their markings flashed with happy colors. The breeding grounds have recovered, Starwalker continued. The plants you humans helped us replant are growing. The soil is healthy again. And this season we have 15 new cubs born. The most in 5 years. Applause broke out from the human side. Even Taewon clapped, though he looked uncomfortable about it. This is because of peace, Starwalker said. Because we work together. Because we choose to help instead of hurt. My people are grateful. Minji felt tears in her eyes. 15 new cubs. Life returning to the breeding grounds. It was working. The peace was really working. After the meeting, Minji walked back to her lab with Bomb. The sun was setting, painting the sky in beautiful colors. Purple and orange and gold. The jungle sang with evening sounds. A young woman was waiting at the lab. It was Yoonji, the granddaughter of the teacher who had supported Minji from the beginning. Old Yoonji had died 2 months ago, peacefully in her sleep. But she had lived to see the peace she hoped for. Young Yoonji was holding a Rathan cub. Dr. Minji, can you help? I think Spark has a hurt paw. Minji smiled. Spark was one of the new cubs from the recovered breeding grounds. His parents had asked Yoonji to help care for him as part of the exchange program. Let me see, Minji said. She examined the cub's paw gently. There was a small thorn stuck in the pad. Easy now. This will hurt for just a second. She carefully removed the thorn. Spark yelped but stayed still. Minji cleaned the wound and bandaged it. There, he'll be fine. Keep the bandage on for 3 days. Thank you, Yoonji said. Then she hesitated. Dr. Minji, can I ask you something? Of course. Do you think humans and Rathan will always be friends? My grandmother said we almost destroyed each other. What if we forget? What if someday we fight again? Minji sat down on the steps of her lab. She gestured for Yoonji to sit next to her. Bomb lay down at their feet. Spark climbed onto Bomb's back and curled up there. I don't know, Minji said honestly. Peace is hard. It takes work every single day. There will be problems, misunderstandings, maybe even conflicts. But I think as long as there are people like you, people who care about both species, will be okay. My grandmother told me something before she died. Yoonji said quietly. She said the most human thing we can do is choose compassion. Even when it's hard. Even when we're scared. That's what makes us special. Your grandmother was very wise, Minji said. She said you taught her that. By saving Bomb when everyone else said to let him die. Minji looked at Bomb. The huge Rathan was gently grooming little Spark with his tongue, being careful not to hurt the cub. I just did what felt right, Minji said. That's what being human is, Yoonji replied. Doing what's right even when it's hard. The next day, Minji received a message from Earth. It had taken 6 months to reach Vakros 4. The message was from the Colonial Council. She opened it nervously. Earth government had been reviewing the situation on Vakros 4. They had watched the video Sumin sent. They had read the reports about first contact with an intelligent species. The message was short. Dr. Minji, your work on Vakros 4 has been extraordinary. You have successfully established peaceful relations with an alien intelligence. This is the first time in human history that we have achieved such a partnership. The Council is creating a new position, Ambassador for Xenolinguistic Relations. We would like to offer this position to you. Your work will serve as a model for all future human colonies. Congratulations. Minji read the message 3 times. Ambassador. Her work would serve as a model. She had changed history. She showed the message to Hyunwoo and Somin. You're famous, Soheron.